goddamn, I need IPA.
This is Beering Ain't Easy, your podcast for beer humor, dad humor, and beer tastings from Texas and beyond. So crack one if you got one and turn it up.
Welcome to Beering Ain't Easy, Season 2, Episode 16, with Ryan and Drew. The musical chairs of hosts continues.
Welcome, y'all. It's going to be a great podcast tonight. We have got another beer-centric episode here where we are going to take another style and do a bunch of side-by-sides. What's that style we got tonight, Ryan?
We're going to do a little deep dive into some Oatmeal Stouts.
So why are we doing an Oatmeal Stouts episode today?
Because we've had them forever and it's getting warm and it's not stout season anymore, so we got to do it.
So I bought these beers back in December, I think, freaking long time ago. They've been sitting in our fridge and we're like, oh, we'll do that episode next time. We'll do that episode next time. Well, now you've waited for the right moment. This is our Oatmeal Stout episode. And I think like what I was thinking when I bought these, one of the beers we're going to highlight today is from Vallensons, and I'm a big fan of their beer. And so we'll talk a little more about the Settler Stout, but they've won some hardware on the medals. And so we're going to try to be Great American Beer Fest judges today, do some blind tastings of Oatmeal Stouts, and see if we can still pick the winner or if our stout taste buds are immature. What do you think, Ryan? What are your predictions here?
I'm not super confident, honestly. But I mean, as far as Oatmeal Stouts go, I don't have like all that much experience, so I'm pretty interested to see how this shakes out. What are your thoughts?
So Adam and I did a side-by-side of Irish red ales on one of our episodes, and I said at that time that I didn't think that was a style that you could differentiate very well. That's kind of how I feel about Oatmeal Stouts. I feel like unless they're a coffee bomb, you kind of have the same flavor profile. So I don't know that we're going to be able to pick one today. So why don't we introduce the beers? So why don't you pick one to introduce first?
So I'll start with, we got Back Pew Brewing. We got Aybara. I hope I'm saying that right. Imperial Oatmeal Stout. It's 8.7% and 25 IBUs, which I think that's the only beer that we have tonight that actually states those on the can.
So I'm going to have the pleasure of introducing the next beer, which is Settler's Oatmeal Stout. So this is the one that drove me to do this episode. I love Vallensons. Vallensons is located, it's probably the closest brewery to our house, and a huge fan of Val and everything they do over there. And this beer is the one he's been brewing, I think the longest, or pretty close to that. He's been home brewing it for 20 years. And then when they opened up their brewery, it started winning some hardware ever since they started putting this out there. So the can actually has it on there. It's real nice. So 2019, they won the U.S. Open Gold. 2020, the Silver Award from the U.S. Open. But the biggest award they got was in 2020, and that was the Great American Beer Festival Gold. So here's the test, Ryan. This is the one that should win today, I think. This is the one with the most hardware. So are we going to be able to replicate the Great American Beer judges?
So if we don't get it right, does that mean we're wrong, or does that mean the GABF judges were wrong?
I'm going to go ahead and say that we're wrong in that scenario because I'm such a homer for Vallensons beers that it obviously is our taste buds if they lose.
Yeah, the Vallensons comes in at 5.9% ABV.
Oh, nice. Yeah, this is the only one out of the three that I've had before, and I thought it was a very solid stout. Easy drinker.
Yeah, I'm excited. I actually have not had any of these, so this is perfect. So the last one we're throwing in the mix here is Samuel Smith Old Brewery Tadcaster Oatmeal Stout, product of England, coming in right at 5%. This is the oldest beer. Do you remember what year it was, Druids?
It says it's been brewed with well water since the original well sunk in 1758. So this is an old ass mix right here, man. Old ass tradition.
We'll see if the recipe holds up to the test of time.
Yeah. brews at a small traditional British brewery at the oldest brewery in Yorkshire. So I will say that this beer has never won a Great American Beer Festival award, that's for sure.
But
I don't know what kind of awards they have in England.
let's be honest, we don't care, America.
I apologize in advance to all our British listeners out there.
While we're tasting these, I got to say, in listening to your guys' episode last week, I feel like one of the biggest things to me about sour beers, if you don't mind me throwing my opinion in after the fact.
I would expect nothing less.
So I feel like this is kind of funny because it also kind of applies to bourbon barrel stouts, which are like the two, sours and bourbon barrel stouts are like the complete opposite ends of the spectrum, right? But I feel like they're very similar in the fact that they're like the most social beers out there. Like you're getting together, you're drinking with some buddies, you're like, oh, hey, check this thing out. This thing's a little crazy. Let's try it out. You crack it open and you split it and everyone tries a little bit. You guys talk about it. And I feel like that doesn't happen nearly as much with any other style as it does with sours and like barrel aged stouts. So I feel like the social aspect of those types of beers can't be discounted.
I think that it was a lot of fun to do that. And it was fun, especially since we had two people that were enjoying the beers and two that really could care less for them. I think it made for a pretty good little back and forth.
Yeah, I was loving listening to it. It made me really want to try those beers, honestly.
Awesome.
And since I'm talking about previous episodes, I have one other thing that I would like to share.
Do tell.
So I have a stack of New Brewer magazines that have been piling up that I've been meaning to go through. And I wish I would have read this one on time so we could have talked about it during the beer and sports episode. You remember I had that cheesy, stupid bit about potential beer sponsorships of players?
Oh yeah, that was a classic. That was a classic Ryan moment.
Well, it turns out. So get this: last year, Stone Brewing sponsored USC athletics, like for real. Deschutes sponsored the entire Pac-12 conference, and Jolly Pumpkin Artisan Ales sponsored the Michigan State offensive line.
Just the offensive line.
Yeah. So from what I gathered from reading the little blurb about it, is they had them come in like once a week and like gave them dinner and fed them and stuff, and they just did like photo ops with people that came in to the brew pub, which I thought was like hilarious.
It's happening. So, it's happening.
Yeah, it turns out the beer sponsorships of sports is like actually a real thing, and we were like talking about it theoretically.
Well, I mean, one thing I've learned on this podcast is we're really front runners on the beer scene, and things that we talk about become reality.
This dovetails into the other thing I had to talk about. I came with all sorts of BS to talk about today. So speaking of being front runners, in the latest issue of New Brewer magazine, they outlined 3 styles that were going to be trends in 2022. So I want to see if you can guess what those are. I'll give you 2 hints to start off, okay? Hint number 1 is it's not seltzers.
Oh, damn, that was my first guess.
I was going to say, I think that was last year was the full-on trend for that. Okay, so hint number 2, speaking of being front runners, you did 2 episodes in season 1 that covered 2 of the styles. And last week you talked pretty predominantly about the third, but it's not a sour.
Man, that's tough. I'm going to say that one of the trends is lagers this year.
No, although there was an article about Italian Pilsners and the rise of those, but that wasn't one of the ones they highlighted.
Damn, I was getting excited that maybe it was something like that, getting back to back to our roots.
So one of them was when Adam was preparing for his marathon.
Non-alcoholic beers, yes. That makes sense.
That's one.
How about session IPAs?
No.
Sessionable stouts?
No.
Low-cal IPAs?
Also no.
Damn it. All right. You're gonna have to clue me in on the new hotness.
The other one, cannabis beers. I think that's gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
And then the one that you talked about last week was pastry stouts.
Oh,
that's
pastry
the other one
stouts.
I think it's gonna be big.
I'm surprised because like that's completely so basically does that mean after COVID we're at a fork in the road? You're either gonna go healthy and not drink alcohol in your beer, or you're just going to go all out and just let it go, gain some weight with the pastry stouts. Is that what you're telling me?
Or hey, what if we drink some pastry stouts? We're feeling pretty good, but also feeling kind of full and bloated. So you drink a couple non-alcoholic beers to just ride it out for a while.
I like it. Man, I'm going to go ahead and say my confidence level is waning on these 3 beers.
I agree.
I don't know why, but I was thinking, I should be able to pick out the one from England, but I don't know why I would think that it would taste a lot different from being from England. I've already started drinking beer number 1 over here, that we have them numbered as per the tradition of the Beer and Easy podcast. And so I feel like on the nose, I don't know. It's just like a more of a bready type of smell to it.
Yeah, my very first smell before I went in, I felt like I got some vanilla.
I thought so too. Yeah.
Okay. And now you said bready, and now like that's kind of like all I can smell.
I got vanilla, and then I went for a second smell, and then it disappeared, and that's why I had a pause when I was talking, because I was like, it went away.
And actually, on the palate, I get chocolate and vanilla. I think I've tried all 3 so far, and I think I get the most like kind of richness out of that one. Sorry if my voice is a little weird. The oak pollen count is at historic levels, and apparently I'm slightly allergic. I'm finding out today.
I've heard that oatmeal is the remedy for that.
Hey, we'll see. Maybe my voice will get silkier and smoother throughout the episode. We'll see.
Barry White by the end of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to take a moment for a little podcast housekeeping here. So we haven't played our ad in a little while from our sponsors up at the Farm Drinkery. I thought I would just throw it out there that we had a Cross the Streams Media get together a few months ago where we actually went to the Farm Drinkery and Caddy Shack, which is also the same ownership. So Caddy Shack's kind of like the classy, corner of a strip center joint. And then Farm Drinkery is where you go to like end the night. So we did a little karaoke there. Things got a little crazy.
You saying they pulled the sponsorship? Is this what you're getting at?
Well, I may or may not have sung the wrong song. No, I thought I'd give them a shout out. Specifically, the reason I wanted to bring it up is that we've just added a couple new podcasts to the network. So we're up to like 13 or so different shows on the network. And one of them is actually recorded by the guys at the Farm Drinkery. It's called Deep Dive into a Dive Bar. So check that one out. The second one, beer related, that I wanted to bring up is Hot Tub Beers. So check that out. They're also located in the Houston area. They actually do a lot of their episodes recorded inside a hot tub. So Ryan, you think we could pull something like that off? I don't know that people want to see me in a hot tub though.
Yeah, definitely not. We can do an audio only one. I wouldn't mind sitting in a hot tub. I have seen their guys' feet around. They look pretty cool, but also I'm super interested in how a dive bar works. So yeah, I'll definitely be checking both those out. Drew, do you want to tell us how an oatmeal stout is made and what makes it an oatmeal stout?
Well, let me consult my notes here. Hey, this is your territory, man. What are you doing? It's kicking that to me. I got 0 notes. Was that were you leading yourself to your own topic here?
No, I was just going to see if you would try to run with it and see what you would say.
Just make up some shit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how you make oatmeal. You get some water.
Yeah. I mean, they call it an oatmeal stout because you literally add flaked oats to the mash. The issue with flaked oats is the starches inside them aren't readily accessible. So when you throw them in the mash, the mash isn't harsh enough to them to really unlock them and do anything. So what you do is you get gelatinized oats from the manufacturer, and they kind of pre-cook them. They blast them with steam and kind of hit them with hot rollers and stuff to get them ready so you can just throw it in with your grain. And the benefit to adding it is they're high in proteins and fats. And so it adds body, it adds mouthfeel, and it makes it just a lot creamier. Obviously, they're in stouts. The other place you'll see them is in some hazies, the thicker hazies to give it a little more substance and body. So, yeah, there's your 20-second breakdown of oatmeal Flaked oats and beer.
I mean, we talked about the health benefits of sours last week. Are there any, I mean, could we like extrapolate here that this is a healthier option than other beers?
It can't be worse for you, right?
Yeah. I mean, oatmeal's good for you, right?
Yeah. Adds protein, probably adds fiber. Like, I don't know.
That's what the grain lobby's been telling me my whole life. I think that's why we all eat cereal in the mornings, you know? So when you think about like adding oatmeal to beers, I always think about like oat cream IPAs, which I'm a huge fan of because of that like creamy texture that it gives to the IPA. And I get that a little bit with these beers, that you get that kind of silky feel when you're drinking it. What I like about it in IPAs is that I feel like it also takes a hit on the acidity. And like someone like me that like can at times have the reflux, man, having some oatmeal in there, like I feel like it counteracts some of the acidity on those hazies.
Yeah, I think there's something to that for sure. To bring it back to these ones we're trying, are you noticing any difference in the mouthfeel of these three?
I feel like the one in the middle is more like a thicker more syrupy, maybe boozier. I'm not sure, but it definitely, I feel like the number 1 and number 3 are more similar.
I mean, if just talking about mouthfeel, I feel like I just wanted to say the word mouthfeel a whole bunch. So, I feel like 2 was like the thinnest, like it was the least like creamy.
Which I said thick, which is like the complete,
syrup, yeah,
that's like the complete opposite. So just disregard what I said. So it was syrupy though, right?
And I think number 1 was the most creamy to me. I do agree with you though. I think 1 and 3 are pretty similar, and 2 stands out a little bit more. I agree with what you're saying. It's like almost like a little boozier, which I think is a little hint.
Yeah.
Because I think you're right.
When I was looking at these 3, I was like, okay, there's one that has a higher ABV, and it was like, if I can pick out anything, maybe it's the one that's got a higher ABV. So far, that's my prediction. Is that's our 8.7% in the middle, and the other 2 are closer to 5.
That'd be the back pew. Between 1 and 3, number 1, I think we already talked about the chocolate and the vanilla. Number 3, I think, has a little bit more bitterness, and that bitterness is like different. It seems like it might be like noble hops, like an earthier bitterness. It's pretty hard to tell because it's such a subdued. Obviously, it's not a hoppy beer, but it tastes a little different to me, and I'm wondering if that's because it's noble hops. So my guess is 3 is the Samuel Smith. What are your thoughts?
I've had the Cellar Stout before, but between 1 and 3, I'm having trouble differentiating the 2. I was actually thinking number 3 was the Cellar Stout with Vallensons. A little more, I don't know, robust is a good word. It's got that bitterness, but it's not like a coffee bitterness. But I'm going to stick with robust as my term for that one.
I can't think of a better adjective for it. I get what you're saying. Yeah, it might not be the hop difference at all. It might just be like a different like roast on the malt. I'm not confident in my guess, is what I'm saying.
I also wanted to choose a different beer than you on that, in the off chance that I'm correct, so that I can never let you live it down that I beat you in a blind taste tasting.
I guess when we do the reveal, we'll have to do number 2 first, and then we'll find out real quick if there's going to be any tension or not.
Yeah. I will say that I really like number 1 and 3. I think those are both drinkable. I feel like 3 may be a little heavier. Like I think number 1 is almost sessionable. Like I feel like I could do a decent amount of that before I got too full. 3, I think I like 3 a little better, but I think it may fill you up a little faster. Number 2 is probably my third favorite.
Yeah, it's my least favorite. We already talked about the booziness, but I think it almost seems like it's like a chalky finish almost. It seems like it's not. I don't want to like say it's bad because it's actually really good and I like it. Just these other 1 and 3 are actually really good, and this one is just good. So,
well said.
I don't know. Yeah.
So before we hit the grand reveal on these bad boys here, it is in Houston. I know some people will say that stout season never ends, but that's bullshit in Houston. Stout season absolutely ends when it starts getting above average temperature of 85 degrees. Let's just be honest here. It gets fucking hot here. So because of that, I think we should just talk about stouts in general for a few minutes before we close this out.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously doing oatmeal stouts here. Is there a type of stout that you prefer most?
Man, I feel like it's hard to not choose like a bourbon barrel aged stout. Like, I mean, those are like, that's like the Mecca, right? I mean, it's all less flavorful from there, in my opinion. What do you think?
Those are good, but like, if I'm like, I just want to drink a stout, I don't go immediately to bourbon barrel aged stouts. I mean, coffee stouts, I think to me are kind of where I go. We did the peanut butter stout episode too, which I do like those, but I mean, kind of like the bourbon barrel stouts, you have like one of those and it's like, okay, that's it. Whereas I can actually have multiple coffee stouts and be all wired.
Dude, I love the coffee stouts too. Like when you said that, I was like, oh shit, why did I go first? But yeah, I love me some coffee. So that's definitely a solid one. What are your thoughts on sessionable stouts?
I'm all in on sessionable stouts because with coffee stouts being my favorite, I'd like roastiness. So if I could get a little bit of roastiness without being like a full on stout, like you could actually drink them in warmer weather, like I'd be all about that. What are your thoughts on nitro stouts and nitro beers in general, I guess?
I don't know. I've got mixed feelings with nitro. There's some nitro beers that I've had where it just tastes like a flat beer. And I'm like, this is not great. But there's been some nitro stouts that are fantastic. And most recently, like that Tasty AF from Saloon Door Nitro, they can be made really well. So how about you?
I've tried really hard and I understand the idea of it, but yeah, the flatness of it, and it's like so creamy with like no carbonation to like give a little something. It just is like, it's tough for me, man. I can't get there.
Yeah.
I'm getting low on my tasters and I kind of want to top off here because I'm actually enjoying all of these. Do we want to go ahead and get into the reveals?
Let's do it, man.
So let's start with number 2.
Number 2, the grand reveal. Samuel Smith.
No way.
That's a 5% ABV. Is that what we're saying on that one?
Dang.
I feel like I need to pour some more of that just to make sure that Meredith didn't like screw up the coating here. So
just drinking it straight from the bottle.
Oh, it's definitely the right one.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
Dang.
So that was our least favorite. So
hey, America.
This beer was rubbish.
This is actually a huge relief to me, even though I'm completely wrong. It's because I felt so bad. Like I wasn't trying to like talk shit about it, but yeah, when I was saying it was like the booziest and it like had like a chalky finish and had the thinnest mouthfeel, I felt so bad when I thought it was back to you, but I don't feel so bad anymore. So this is actually a weight off my shoulders.
What's crazy before we get the next 2 reveals is that the fact that Aybara, or however you say it, is almost 9% alcohol, and I could not tell a difference. Like it hid the alcohol beautifully. So I think like whatever beer that is, well done there. So, because we thought that this 5% beer was the booziest.
Yeah, this was actually the least alcohol of any of them.
It's mind blowing. All right, are we ready for the reveal on beer number 1? Aybara from Back Pew Brewing.
Well done, Back Pew. Nice and rich. That chocolate and vanilla comes through. Huge fan. Good for you guys.
And so that means number 3 is Vallensons. So I at least got 1 out of 3 correct. I got the one that I've tried before. So
hey, I got 0 correct. Dude, I struck out. Are we going to call that an Adam?
Yeah, that's definitely an Adam. He's not here to defend himself.
Sorry, Adam.
So one thing we haven't talked about, we've talked about ones we liked, and we said number 1 and 3 were the ones we liked more. So now that we know what they are, I think I may have said earlier in the episode which one I was leaning towards before. If we're the great American beer judges and you've got this Back Pew versus Vallensons, which one are you choosing?
These have warmed up a little bit more since we've been talking. And I was completely wrong about the hop bitterness. It's totally the roastiness from the malt. And it's coming through a lot more now. And I just got on this whole screed about how I like roasty beers. And it's tasting really good now. I'm going to have to come straight up and say it. Not just because I know it's what now, but now that I'm tasting them again, I was wrong saying one was my favorite. I'm liking 3 a lot more right now.
It really is a fantastic beer. It gets better as it warms. But I will say this Aybara, like they've separated a little more as they've warmed up, but it's still a really solid oatmeal stout in my opinion.
No, it's really good. I think it's probably my favorite Back Pew beer I've had from them.
I'd say so too. I like their Blue Testament, but this one's pretty good too. I like it. What if you call something an imperial oatmeal stout? Like, what makes something imperial? Does that just mean it's boozier?
Yeah, I mean, it's just more materials, more malts. I get more hops to match it. And so you have more sugar for the yeast to ferment, so it results in a higher ABV.
I would have thought this Samuel Smith would have been an imperial stout. Am I right? English, right?
Hey, I mean, I thought we were supposed to save the super cheesy one-liners for my closing statement here.
So before we close out tonight, it's been a couple episodes since we've updated y'all on the HTown Brewery Challenge, where we hit every brewery within 50 miles of Houston. We still have a ways to go. Are we over the 50% mark, Ryan?
We're having to adjust the spreadsheet a little bit on the fly because we've had a couple closures recently, unfortunately.
Rest in peace.
We're not over the 50% mark yet. We're at 43%.
I will say, looking at on the horizon of what some breweries that are opening up, I'm pretty excited. One of them I got my eye on is For the Culture Brewing, and they're going in with a collab. Looking forward to that one coming up.
Yeah, same. Yeah, that one's actually right down the street from Star Sailor.
Oh man, back to that. That's the hottest spot in Houston. It's going to become Beer Alley. We got to come up with a better name than that, though. Marin would be on here kicking her ass for coming up with a lame ass name like that. All right, back to the brewery challenge. So Ryan, you had 2 to talk about, so I'll let you go first. Pick one of your 2, and then I'll grab mine.
Yeah, I brought the wife and kid to a small place called Twisted Acre. It's out in Cyprus, on like the country part of Cyprus. Like driving out there, you drive past like huge, like not quite ranches, but huge houses that had like horses roaming around the yards and stuff. And then all of a sudden you come across this industrial complex and they're at the back of it. But they have this cool like big pond surrounded by trees out back and a whole bunch of stuff out there, picnic tables and stuff. And so like it seems like you're a lot farther outside of Houston than you really are. The owner he's like always there. Super nice guy. He brews really small batches, like probably 2 or 3 barrels at a time. But yeah, it's because he brews in such small batches. He tends to be out sometimes. It's kind of like a crapshoot when you show up, what he's going to have. But he's super accommodating and nice. And he's got a whole bunch of Astros memorabilia hanging on the walls and stuff. So it's a interesting and cool place to kind of look around and like explore a little bit. Yeah, that's my first one. What do you got, Drew?
I went to Baa Baa Brewhouse, and so in our sours episode, that was when I picked up the yesterday beer that we were drinking. And first off, I will say Baa Baa Brewhouse, their beers are fantastic. I love their IPAs, love their sours. Even while I was there, like I got a beer in the tap room that was a West Coast or American IPA, I guess, and it was fantastic too. So, and I bought. They have this beer that's looks like Bud Light, and they call it Baa Light. And I was trying to pass that off to everybody. It was so good. I wanted people to try it because it was like a craft lager. So I can't say enough about how good their beer quality is. It's one of the best in Houston, in my opinion. Their staff was super friendly. Everything was good. I just had to put my foot down on a couple things. One, I live in Pearland, south of Houston, and so the trip to Baa Baa, it's like I'm driving out of the state almost. I mean, it's over an hour to get there. You really want to have the beer if you want to go there. And I think if you look at like the average person in the Houston area, it's going to take you a decent amount of time to get there. The second thing is like the space is, it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. They got some tables out in the back and a really modest tap room, but there's nothing about that space that was like, hey, I want to go here for the experience. You go there for the beer. So that's my only rant here is I'm like, dude, if they didn't make like the top of the top beers, in my opinion, I would not be driving my ass all the way out to Brookshire, Texas. So maybe throw in a freaking karaoke night or something. I don't know, man. Do something. You got to draw people out there. Open the tap room more than just like 3 days out of the week or 2 days out of the week. Y'all are doing some great stuff. Just make it more accessible. Maybe open up like a small tasting room inside the city. Rant over.
The way you started that, the lead in to the critique, I was like ready for you to come down hard with how much you were trying to butter it up, but that wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. It's far out there, and clearly their business model is predicated on to-go beer and not bringing people in. Obviously, we have Google and stuff, but if I loaded up my toddler and drove all the way out there hoping to spend the afternoon, I would like to know that information. So
yeah,
thank you.
All right, so you want to hit us up for our last location, the most unique one probably of the spreadsheet that we got?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, Alice and I went and checked out Battlehops. So we can get down to no label pretty quick, but if you go just like a couple miles past that, there's a little brewery called Battlehops. But the kicker with this place is it is 100% designed for and around board game players. So every single table in the place is it's got like a rail with cup holders and they're all sunken in. So you can set up board games or puzzles or whatever down in the middle of them and hang out. They have a wall. And when I say a wall, I mean a wall. The most board games I've ever seen in my life lining the wall. They also have a dedicated bookshelf for kids games, like Candyland, like all Chutes and Ladders, like all those. And they have some like coloring books and, like I said, puzzles and all sorts of stuff for them as well. So it is straight up catering to, there's no normal tables when we went. It was only those game tables. Considering we weren't playing games, it was kind of hard to deal with a table that was built that way. But yeah, if you're a board game player, I mean, that'd be definitely a place to go check out.
So that brings you up to speed with the HTown Brewery Challenge. As a reminder, all you have to do is go to our website at crossthestreamsmedia.com, check out the page, Beering Ain't Easy, and you can look at the link of where we are. And if you want to track along for yourself, you can download that damn spreadsheet yourself.
So can I just say something real quick? I know we're kind of shameless promoters of the Houston beer scene, but we literally just picked 2 Houston Oatmeal Stouts over the Oatmeal Stout from the 1700s, which on Beer Advocate, it's got a 94 rating. It's the number 17th ranked Oatmeal Stout on all of Beer Advocate, and we just picked it third behind these 2 other beers in a blind tasting. Houston's got it going on, man.
I think this just speaks to craft beer, and I think this speaks to the city of Houston's quality of craft beer, and this is why we're doing this podcast. I love it.
Oh, yeah, we say it all the time, but I will never get tired of saying it. I'm having a great time right now.
All right, folks, it's been fun. We had a great Oatmeal Stout episode today. We tasted some good ones, and we basically proved that our palates are as sophisticated as the judges of the Great American Beer Festival. Just want to bring that up for future episodes. We may not have picked the beers correctly, but we picked the right beer, and that's all that matters. Ryan, would you like to take us out?
If you're going to brew an oatmeal stout, don't forget to gelatinize your oats.
That's what she said?
Great, dude.
This has been a Beering Ain't Easy production out of Houston, Texas. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook or at our website at crossthestreamsmedia.com, where you can find our podcast and all the other great sister podcasts on our network.
This has been a Cross the Streams Media Podcast.